This weekend, the English Premier League returns, and so do a lot of other leagues over in Europe. And if you're like me, I watch MLS, but also, that correlates pretty well to watching the game over in Europe. And the best part about a new season is the new shirts. What are these teams wearing? What are manufacturers coming out with? What kind of designs are in the new trend, and what is kind of flopping? And that's what we're going to break down today as I look at every home kit for all 20 Premier League clubs. Before we jump into the actual rankings, let's break down my tier list right now. I got A, B, C, and F. And also, if you notice, on the top and bottom, I have the best shirt and the worst shirt. And the best shirt is going to be reserved for one shirt that I will reveal at the end of the video. And the worst shirt is another shirt that it will only be one that I will reveal after I rank all the kits. We're going to hop right into this. And the first club, who is pretty well known for making very beautiful kits, it's Arsenal. And they're coming out with something here that is very nostalgic. Adidas is kind of killing the market for Arsenal at the moment with all their pre-match tops, and every single jersey they've released over the past 3 years has been really top notch. And for this one, like many other shirts released this season, they have this big collar on it, kind of a throwback feel to it. This one, as it's Arsenal, back in the 90s, they had these lightning bolts on their shirt a lot, and it's featured in the collar. Again, just a simple Arsenal shirt. A red middle solid color with white sleeves. There's nothing really more than that, but for Arsenal, there doesn't have to be. A lot of these teams in England, you know this already. They've been around for years. They have an established history, and unlike MLS clubs, they aren't trying to change it every other season. So Arsenal, this is a kit for Arsenal. That's going to be definitely in the A tier shirt. Again, Arsenal are just killing the game right now. Next up is Aston Villa, and unlike with Adidas and Arsenal, Aston Villa have a new manufacturer that's kind of making waves in the scene a little bit. They have a few Premier League teams under the belt, a few teams in Germany, and that's Castore. For me, the Castore kits haven't really hit the heights that I'd expect. One thing that's on every single shirt they have is these 4 dots over on the corner. I think that's for ventilation. I'm not quite too sure. But the design here, I don't mean to compare things to MLS, but I will probably do that a couple more times in this video. But this looks like the Chicago Fire shirt with those angled lines going to the center. And there might be some kind of backstory to these lines, but I haven't seen it and it doesn't scream out to me. And anytime a shirt has a design that is really just basic and doesn't add anything to the shirt itself, I'm not too high on it. I'm gonna probably just put that in the C category. And now going from something that's not special to something that is honestly quite unique, especially in Bournemouth's sense. It's this lightning bolt design that is pretty abstract. Now, lightning bolts have been featured a lot, I feel like, over the past few years. I'm gonna go back to Arsenal here. It's in their collar. It was in their 3rd shirt last year. I think about the Philadelphia Union. They have that lightning bolt kit too, but I kind of don't mind it. Now, something I do think this shirt will do is, I think it'll die off pretty quick. Now, if I was a Bournemouth fan, this would definitely be a shirt I want because it is so unique. But I feel like as the season goes on, these lightning bolts are just kind of, a little too much, especially for, a club who usually has just predominantly red and black striped shirts. It might just get a little bit stale, but they're reaching for the stars here. I'm still going to give it a B, but maybe if you talk to me in a few more months, I might be a little bit bored with it. Next up is Brentford, and if it looks a little bit familiar to you, it's because this is the 2nd year that Brentford is using the home kit. Now, back in the day, teams would come out with a shirt for 2-3 years at a time. They do that in MLS still, but the new wave is that you have to have a new shirt, 1, 2, 3, sometimes even 4 new shirts every season. Well, Brentford's kind of going away from that and going back to the roots of football shirts. With the prices of these kits rising, having a kit that goes across multiple years helps the fans, and it also is more environmentally friendly because you're not producing a bunch of shirts every single season. So yes, it's not the best shirt, but it's a Brentford shirt, and it's one that I think has a good message to it. It's definitely not an F tier at all. It's kind of basic. I'm gonna put it in the C category. Now, after 4 red shirts in a row, we finally got something different with this Brighton home shirt, and you can tell it's their home shirt because of this massive H that is right in the middle of it. But it's on the new Nike template, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but I don't think it works horribly here. I do like Brighton's colors because I think that the yellow kind of dashed in with that blue and white kind of looks a little bit classy. And also what they usually have is this yellow check, which I also think is a little bit unique to them. Overall, it's not the best shirt, but I don't think it's a bad shirt. I'm tempted to put it in the B category, but it might end up for me falling to C, but I think it's a high C. Going into another Big Six club, it's Chelsea. And this one I've kind of been contemplating a lot over the past few weeks. When the leaks were coming out, I wasn't too fond of this shirt. I mean, having the majority of the design in that little collar doesn't set me off on the right foot. But then I saw, it used in some promotional shots when Sterling signed and in gameplay a little bit. And it does look all right just because I think that Chelsea blue is so pure. I think in the grand scheme of things, though, I'm not the biggest fan of it. It has a button, which I know some people aren't big fans of just a one button shirt. I am. But with the whale sponsor that I see on the sleeve here and the 3 in the middle, it does look a little janky. And I think when you're going with this clean design of having the all blue with just a little bit on the collar, but then you throw in such an interesting sponsor in the middle there, it kind of kills it a little bit for me. I know the C category is getting pretty filled up at the moment, but I mean, this shirt just isn't something that I think deserves as much plaudits, and I don't think it's getting that much either. Now for a shirt that I think everyone's kind of been going crazy about, but I'm not really the biggest fan of it whatsoever, and especially because Crystal Palace just straight up ripped off another team shirt from last season. Now I have this trend where when I see marker type shirts with, these marker streaks on it, I'm not the biggest fan of them. And this one, I mean, the whole thing's this marker color. I do like the different shades of blue in it, but I don't know, I don't vibe with it, if you would, and it really just seems like a clutter mess to me. Again, I think about just a kid drawing on the wall with a marker. It seems a little clip artish, and I know this is going to break a lot of hearts because I see everyone raving about the new Crystal Palace kit. But for me, I mean, a little too tacky. It's going in the F tier. Next up, we have Everton and the first Hummel manufactured shirt on the list. And if you've seen a few of my other videos I produced, I mean, I'm a big Hummel guy. I really like what they're doing. They're a little bit different than the Adidas and the Nike, and I think they just bring this quality to their shirts while they're, a lesser manufacturer. At first glance, the Everton kit is pretty basic, but if you kind of dive in a little bit more, I really dig this little bit of a thicker collar on the top of it, and inside the design is actually the tower that features on their badge. It's a bit of an abstract pattern throughout it, but I think it does work really well together, and having it kind of a mirrored image throughout the whole shirt does look pretty good in my opinion. Blue isn't my favorite color, but there is something about, again, the Chelsea shirt and the Everton shirt that does kind of tickle my fancy a little bit. I think it's a very solid Everton shirt. I'm gonna put that up in the B category. I'm noticing a little bit of a trend where most of the shirts I'm not too fond of, but I do think that the shirts kind of get better as we move on. And this one, we have the Leeds United kit. A lot of people were really happy with this design when it came out. I mean, over the past few years, Leeds have had some pretty boring shirts. Now, Leeds is kind of a proper football club. I mean, they have a lot of history, and they don't ever do anything really outlandish with their home kits. It's always a white base with a little bit of the blue and sometimes a little bit of the yellow. I mean, this shirt, it fits the description. It's a white Leeds shirt with a little bit of those colors on the accents. It's actually just a template shirt itself, but what people do really enjoy is inside the fabric is a old Leeds crest that does add a lot of originality to the design. For me, I try to really enjoy it, and I try to see what people are saying about it, but it really just is a template shirt with a little bit of extra to it. And I know the Leeds fans are a pretty tough bunch of people, but I mean, this is nothing special. It's gonna go in the C category for me. The next shirt on deck is the Leicester City home shirt modeled by the Jamie Vardy. This is another shirt that a lot of people have been raving about. For me, it's kind of the same to that Leeds shirt. It's just another template shirt. I mean, this collar, we've seen it on multiple teams, and it doesn't do much for me, especially this collar design alone. I'm a collar guy, honestly, on a football shirt, but the way it kind of cuts off and just leads into that V-neck, it's not my taste. So they added this gold on the Adidas logo and the crest, but it doesn't make the shirt any better for me. And the FBS trade online sponsorship also is just super bland, super blocky, and for me, that's an F shirt right there. Next up, we have maybe the most plain shirt of the season, but does that necessarily mean it's a bad shirt? I'm not too sure at the moment. I mean, this is Liverpool's new shirt, and when it came out, there wasn't much hype around it. I mean, it's a plain red shirt, red cuffs, red everything. This shirt also follows the new Nike template, and I think the good part of this shirt being all red is that it totally hides this template design. The little bit of key detail that makes this shirt a little bit unique is the "You Never Walk Alone" kind of design on the cuffs itself, but again, this isn't a shirt that, you know, I think a lot of people have been talking about, and for me, it's going right in the C category, which is kind of just the mid category in my opinion. The next shirt is the first shirt from Manchester we're going to look at. It's Manchester City's new kit, and it's another shirt where when I first saw it, I wasn't the biggest fan. When I saw the leaks, wasn't the biggest fan. Then I see it on the pitch and it kind of grows on me a little bit. The big aspect of this shirt by first glance, which I think divides opinion a little bit, is the centered crest, which for me, I do like when clubs kind of switch it up, and when you have a normal crest placement for so long, kind of reversing that a little bit, putting it in the middle along with the Puma sponsorship, I'm alright with that. Now, the theme with City shirts this year is that they're inspired by the late City legend Colin Bellin. So their home and away both have this retro feel to them. So when you see this maroon/red and white on the sleeves and cuffs, it's not a reference to Manchester United. It's not something they're just throwing on their kits. This is something that is in their history. I'm not a big fan of Puma shirts, and I really haven't been impressed with what they've done with City, but I think this shirt achieves what its idea was supposed to. It's supposed to be an old retro shirt, and I think that middle crest and that sleeve and collar does achieve that goal, and therefore it's up in the B tier. On the other side of Manchester, we have another shirt that is referencing a little bit of the past, with Manchester United's home kit, with again Adidas and this big collar and the Manchester United badge, which is in this shield. The one bad thing about this shirt is it is similar to the Arsenal shirt, but the Arsenal shirt is in the A tier, and maybe that gives you a little bit of a taste of what I'm thinking with this one. Some people have said that it's a little too much with these jagged triangles, the stripes running down the middle, and the shield on the badge, but for me, it kind of wraps it all up pretty nicely. Yes, I'm going to put this in the A tier, and I do think it's a pretty solid shirt. Going back to another historic kit, it's Newcastle's new one. And last year, I wasn't too fond of their shirt. I think this one's a very big improvement. The skinnier lines that, again, is the history of Newcastle, do look a lot better on here, and you don't see too much of that awkward fitting with the sponsorship. I do enjoy my circle collars and the tighter crew neck on it, and they have that. And I do like the blue that they featured in the Castore logo on the sponsorship, and as well as those kind of dots that you can't quite see in this photo. For this shirt and many other shirts in this whole list, it's a historic shirt. I think it does its goal, and it's going to be in the B tier. The next shirt is a newcomer to the league, and Macron have smashed it out of the park with Forest's new home kit. This shirt really reminds me of what makes international shirts so great, and it's where they're very basic, but they also have this injection of culture into them, and that's what I'm seeing on this Forest shirt. I mean, this solid red base is perfectly accompanied by this very detailed pattern on the sleeves. And a shirt that really reminds me of this is those Italy shirts that came out a few years ago by Puma, where they had these very detailed designs on kind of a simple colored base. I also really like that this pattern is implemented into the collar as well, with this other darker shade of red, and this is just a classy shirt. I'm really impressed with Forest's shirt this year, and I mean, that is definitely going up into the A tier. With 4 shirts left, we're looking at Southampton's home shirt next, and you'd kind of be surprised a little bit that this is their home shirt, because usually Southampton shirts are either red and white stripes or kind of majority red. But this one kind of throws a little bit of a whirlwind to it, and it also maybe steals a little bit of a thunder from the PSG shirts that we've seen recently. It is a Hummel manufacturer, which again, I'm a really big fan of Hummel, and it's got this center badge, which again, I'm not going to take points away because I like it when teams mix it up. And also with this center design stripe, I think that the center badge does kind of look very well and fits into the shirt itself. The sports bet sponsor with that little bit of orange in the design and kind of just that big awkward circle on it doesn't help the shirt at all though. And I also would have liked to see these geometric patterns outside of that red stripe continue onto the sleeves. Because of that, you know, I think it's a decent shirt, but I mean, I think it could have been a little bit better, and that's going to join all these other shirts over in the C category. With 3 shirts left, we're looking at Spurs, and this is a shirt that I think is a little bit underwhelming, but it is growing on me every time I see it. Like I've mentioned so many times, a lot of these teams have very strict home shirt guidelines they have to follow, and for Spurs, it's going to be a white shirt. You know that. It's going to have a little bit of the navy in it. You know that. And I think this is also one of the shirts that pulls off the Nike template the best, but also that is kind of because it's a white shirt, and that white kind of blends in that template a little bit better than some of the other shirts that have been released. For some reason, the AIA, even though it's red and it's been on shirts for so many years, it still always really fits into the design, so that's a plus on it. And in this shirt, Nike is also kind of testing the waters of a new design approach that I don't think I have seen any other place. On the cuffs, and you can see it on the collar as well, it says Spurs on it, and you're actually able to flip up the cuffs so you can see that little bit of design in play. This shirt is pretty decent in my opinion. It's going into the A tier for me. It's a classic Tottenham Hotspur shirt, and I think it deserves that place. Second to last is West Ham, and it's another shirt that I think that the opinions that I have greatly differ from the ones that you probably have and the majority of opinions I've seen online. Now lately, Umbro and West Ham have had a great partnership. I mean, they're bringing out all these retro designs that for me kind of bring this West Ham hard-working mentality into them. And even though I'm pretty sure this is a nod to one of their former kits, I'm really not a fan of the main design on this shirt, which is whatever these things are going on the sleeves. I see that they try to make them a little bit distressed and a little bit rough, but it just really looks awkward to me. I can't quite tell what's going on them. It's not my cup of tea whatsoever, and even though I think it is very harsh, but the F category needs a little bit more filling out. West Ham, I'm sorry. I really liked your shirt last year, and I do usually like what you do with Umbro, but this one just did not hit for me at all. And the final shirt we have to look at before I name the best home shirt of the Premier League season and the worst home shirt of the Premier League season is Wolves. It's another Castore shirt, and it's another very boring shirt, which isn't too bad because sometimes you do need a break from all of these crazy designs. But for this one, it's nothing special for me. This kind of shows where I'm at with Castore. Sometimes I think that they do add these nice elements to the shirts, but also other times I get this kind of shirt and it just looks like any other Sunday League team. I will say that the sponsor in the middle and the sleeve, they do play well into each other, and the shirt with the black that matches the accents and also this red that you see on both of them, but it's not enough for me. That shirt is also gonna go into the F tier. It's just, again, it's nothing special whatsoever. So that's my final ranking, and before I get into the best shirt and the worst shirt, I do just want to say there are probably times in this video where I'm being a little hypocritical with what I say. I'm sorry, I'm human. These are just what I'm thinking as soon as I pull the shirt up. So going into it, the worst shirt that I think has came out for the home shirts in the Premier League season, I got my choice between Palace, Leicester, West Ham, Wolves, and it's got to be Leicester for me. Again, it's just a template shirt. I don't know, I'm still trying to feel out this collar, but for me it's a little bit disappointing, especially for, you know, the kind of club Leicester is. You'd like to see them get a little bit more love from Adidas, but unfortunately they don't, and they're going to be my worst home shirt of the year. For the best one, I'm looking at Arsenal, Manchester United, Nottingham Forest, and Spurs. And for me, I mean, you probably could tell because I've been raving about it so much, but it's got to be the Nottingham Forest shirt. For me, it's the perfect mix of these very detailed patterns and also simplicity. It's got to be one of the top ones. Again, I love the sleeves and also the way they implemented it into the collar. That just deserves another shout out. So although Nottingham Forest may go down this year and they may not stay in the Premier League, at least they won something, and it's my shirt rankings. Nottingham Forest are the best shirt of the 2022 Premier League season. Now the plan is in the next few weeks I'm going to do this again, but for all the away kits in the Premier League. Those shirts are going to be a little bit more abstract, a little bit more interesting, and the rankings are going to be a little bit more all over the place. Again, for this the home shirts, these are kind of deep rooted in history. You know what you're going to get. But I just want you to know, stay tuned for the next few weeks when I'm going to break down some of the very obscure shirts that we have in this Premier League season. But other than that, I appreciate watching. Let me know what the best shirt of the Premier League season is for you and which one you think is the worst shirt. I'll be looking forward to seeing what you guys say. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.